If you're a Muslim man who wants to beat procrastination, this video is for you. You don't beat procrastination, you minimize it. Because your problem isn't that you don't take action. You do take action, but you can't continue taking action. Whether you're doing deep work, trying to focus on studying, whatever it is, when you're doing deep work, you can't continue working without getting distracted. When you're trying to adopt a habit, you can't stick with it for more than a few days, a few weeks, until you fall off and stay in a rut for months. And so when you procrastinate, that's just you being unable to get out of a rut. A pattern I've realized in high performers is that they consistently get out of ruts, and a procrastinator consistently gets into ruts. Ever since I've beaten procrastination, the longest I have ever been into a rut was max 3 weeks. Max. Compared to before, I used to get into a 1 year rut. 1 year. Okay? Which is crazy. Like nowadays, the longest I've ever gone into a rut, and this is like the worst rut I've ever experienced in the past 2 to 3 years, was for 2 to 3 weeks. Genuinely. The 2 to 3 week rut that I was in, I lacked, like heavily lacked direction. I felt extremely lost. I finished a chapter of my life prioritizing mental health, quitting all my bad habits, becoming more confident. And I could subconsciously, at one point, I felt like I literally had the thought, I've made it. And that's when I had the 2 to 3 week rut right after that. And so that's when I was like, okay, what's the next chapter of my life? I need to figure it out. What am I prioritizing? Who I want to become? What's the next mission? Those 2 to 3 weeks, I lacked direction. I lacked clarity. I was extremely depressed. I legit, no joke, I downloaded Fortnite mobile. How the heck did I find myself playing Fortnite? Freaking Fortnite, bro. Which is so cringe. And what's cringier is that it's mobile. Disgusting behavior. And so what got me out was telling myself logically, tomorrow, I know what work I need to do. Even though I told myself I don't want to get lost in the work because I'm trying to figure out what to prioritize, right? So that way I can have clarity and direction and actually make progress, climb the new mountain. I told myself I have an idea of who I want to be and what direction I want to go in. So I don't care how confused I feel, how lost I feel, how depressed I feel. I will work at least for 1 hour because I refuse to stay in this rut. I refuse to genuinely feel like this. Such a bad feeling. Literally, I just had to logically catch myself like a man. Talk to yourself as if you're your own coach. Like, genuinely. And so, what I realized was it's not about trying to avoid the ruts, bro. It's about getting out of them as quickly as possible. What if I told you right now, if I literally go to eat chocolate, right now it's in the morning, if I go to eat chocolate, I'd procrastinate just as much as you. My whole day would be ruined. I would obviously try my best not to ruin my day, but it would make it 10 times harder to be productive. I would procrastinate just as much as you, if not more. Chocolate ruins me. Me specifically, chocolate genuinely destroys every single part of my productivity. And if I have it in the morning, I'd procrastinate more than you. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Because procrastination is a result of making the wrong choices. But the thing is, you can't beat it. You can only minimize it. So, alhamdulillah, I've made the correct choice by not eating chocolate in the morning. And as a result, I feel sharp. I feel My mental health is in a good mental state. I feel the want to work hard versus if I eat chocolate. That's what triggers the procrastination mindset of not wanting to work, not being able to focus, not wanting to be productive. And so as a result, procrastination happens. What's interesting is think about what's interesting is we all know that I believe it was the Sahaba who before Ramadan they prepare for 6 months, right? 6 months before Ramadan. They prepare for Ramadan. They prepare their mind, body, and heart. So when Ramadan comes, they're already in that state that you're supposed to have in Ramadan. Obviously, we don't do this the way we're supposed to, because that's Allahumma barik, genuinely next level. Like there's the levels, there's genuine levels to like productivity and having that insane like khushur and iman and everything. But if we take that example, like right now, this is why I'm saying if I went to eat chocolate, that's the equivalent of preparing for procrastination. But if I don't eat chocolate, I'm preparing to be productive. And so the way I see it is whatever choices you're making is a preparation for a specific result that you want. So if like let's take my example of eating chocolate. If I ate chocolate, that's me preparing myself to relax and to chill, to procrastinate as a result. If I'm not eating chocolate, I'm preparing my mind to focus. Because if I can focus, then I can be productive. Something else that I did, and this is super important, was I didn't care about the work I did. Zero cares. I cared about the type of man I wanted to be. So, for example, and I'm sure you've heard this like so many times. Just hear me out for 1 second, okay? When I was in the rut, after 2 weeks, even though I was lost, directionless, had no clarity, and I was even miserable because I was lost and wasn't taking action. What helped me was literally telling myself, I do not like this feeling of sitting around doing nothing. I genuinely feel disgusted with myself. I just hate being the type of person who overthinks. I hate being the type of person who feels lost. So I simply said, I'm going to take action even though I feel lost because I hate this feeling right now. And you know what? Tawakkalna ala Allah. Allah's going to help me. So you legit, like, you tie the camel, bro, even though you're lost. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Like, legit, when I read that ayah, Allah's legit going to help me to have direction. Allah's going to help me to have results. I'm just going to take action because I hate this feeling of being in a rut. It's the worst feeling ever. So it was less about the work and more about who I wanted to be in that moment. I did not want to be a person who didn't work because I didn't feel like it. That's like, I despise that. It's the epitome. Like, that's like the peak pet peeve that I've developed. Notice how I said developed. I genuinely get so irritated with myself, with who I am, when I catch myself not taking action. Because it's not about the work sometimes, it's about the person you want to be. And so when I simply focused on making sure, like, I'm the type of man that takes action, even though you feel a little bit lost, even though you have no clarity, even though you're confused, even though you feel a little bit sad and depressed, even though you messed up a little bit playing Fortnite, messing up with your habits, not having the routine you wanted to stick to. I didn't want to be the man who stopped taking action because I didn't know what to do. And so I said, like a man, I will take action and I will figure it out. That's the type of man I want to be, the type of man who will figure it out. And then productivity came as a result. The specific preparation, the choice that I made was that I will take action even though I feel lost. Get out of the rut as fast as possible by making the right choices, and productivity will happen as a result. Do not buy into your emotions and justify with logic. Wassalamu alaikum.